Today we're actually going to begin our journey into the desert proper. And you know what that means? Loads and loads of sandstorm battles. And thankfully I've got a Pokemon that is immune to all that crap. And once again, it's Skarmory. First, the immunity to Arena Trap in the last video, and now immunity to Sandstorm. And there's always going to be Swift to hit through Sand Veil if it ever becomes a problem. Skarmory kicks ass! And yes, this is the hiker that we talked to near the end of the last video. Well, before I entered the tower, actually. And speaking of hikers in the desert, I may as well mention this now, but there's a special class of trainers that shares the same overworld sprite as the hikers, but those trainers are Ruin Maniacs. Now, they are found in 3 spots in the world, and all 3 spots are the routes where you can capture the Regis later on in the game. So I think this is Regirock that you can catch in the desert. It would make perfect sense. So there are Ruin Maniacs in the desert. I think in Ruby and Sapphire there was 1 Ruin Maniac in each area where you could find a Regi, but in Emerald they added a few. I know there are 2 in the desert now, whereas there was only 1 in Ruby and Sapphire, but for the other 2 areas, I'm not sure. I need to check that out before I get there. And it's a good thing that I am commentating while I'm doing this, else I might have gotten pissed a little earlier at my attacks constantly missing. I think Trapinch can have either Arena Trap or Sand Veil. I need to check up on that because the only reason why anyone would ever use Trapinch is because of Arena Trap, and even there, Doug Trio is so much better at it, it's not even funny. But as for the mechanics of how random battles work in the desert, because there's a special system for that, well, here's how it works. There are 2 types of sand in the desert. There are a few paths here and there that have sand that's, well, we could say that they're one-colored sand, so to speak. Like the path where this trainer is on, you'll see in a second once I beat her. In this sand, there are no random battles at all. Oh, and now Sandshrew decides to be funny and use Dig. Well, that's a waste of 2 turns, so, well, I'm gonna use Sand Attack so I don't waste valuable Swift PP, because I can tell that I'm going to be using Swift a whole lot. Because, well, Sandshrew, for example, has Sand Veil, so it's going to be tough dealing with Sandshrew after Sandshrew after Sandshrew, while still remaining easy on my Swift PP. But as I was about to say, there's another type of sand which has, like, those wavy lines on it. Well, this sand is evil sand! And there are random battles in this sand, like there would be in tall grass and caves and stuff like that. So we're gonna see exactly what I mean in a second. The sand we're standing on, good sand. The sand with those lines in it, evil sand! Okay, I'll stop. But I checked the Poke Earth and there are 8 trainers in this area, so that means we're gonna have to fight them all. And the area where I think it's Regirock can be found is way down at the south extremity of the desert, so we're gonna have to go through evil sand and a few trainers to get there. But of course we can't go into that cave yet because we need to do something special at the other end of the world first. But we are going to do that when we get there, which is going to be, according to my plans, first thing after I get badge number 7. The first thing after I do that is I'm going to try and obtain the Regis as quickly as possible, because Regice is on my planned team, and as such I want to get it as early as possible so it can take advantage of some easy experience opportunities. And I don't know if there are any Dutch viewers here. I know I have a few from Germany, but any from the Netherlands? Well, I sympathize with you folks who are going to be the last people on Earth to be able to enjoy Hard Gold and Soul Silver. Seriously, Nintendo of Europe completely sucked on that one. If you haven't checked Cerebi out, the problem with the Dutch version of Hard Gold and Soul Silver, which is a problem that hasn't been encountered in any other version, is that there's a critical bug which prevents the game from detecting that there's a save file. No joke. This, I'm no programmer, but I get the feeling this is a fairly important thing. It would be right next to corrupted Rattata Sprite on the list of the most noticeable bugs possible. So how did they wait until almost release date to realize that and do something about it? And furthermore, how come this bug showed up in the Dutch version and not in any other version at all? Explain me that. It's like, you know, when I asked a few LPs ago, why was the weather glitch in Platinum and Hard Gold Soul Silver and not in any other game? Well, I heard that there were a few theories floating around, but since I don't know much about technology except for the fact that it's incredible, well, I think I couldn't understand all that programmer jargon hoopla and everything that comes with that. So I'll just ask the question and be done with it. Oh, another Sandshrew who thinks he's being funny by digging right into a hopeless situation. You're not funny. You just fail. Epically. But yeah, when I say there are a few theories floating around, it has nothing to do with the bug in Hard Gold and Soul Silver. I'm talking about the weather glitch, not the save file glitch, just so that we're perfectly clear on that. And I've been using Swift so much that, well, there are a few people who noticed that YouTube liked to attribute thumbnails to my videos of Skarmory in the middle of using Swift on something. Wanna bet that this video ends up with exactly that as its thumbnail, because I've been using Swift like absolute crazy in this video. In fact, I think that after this video is done, I'm gonna go back to that crazy old lady's house further up north and heal up my Swift PP and everything else before I go back there and return to my original spot, just so that you have a more, well, how should I word that, a more fluid viewing experience. I do that all the time. It seems like nothing happened, but I healed up and everything. It's because I often go back to heal between videos whenever I can. If I'm in the middle of a cave, of course, I can't really do that, but since I'm probably going to be pretty close to that path here, that's something I can afford to do. And, of course, there is also the topic that I wanted to talk about of Cresselia and Porygon Z. A few months ago, I mentioned that they were sent down to the underused tier. Well, turns out they didn't last very long there. They were sent right back up to borderline, to the surprise of absolutely no one. Seriously, Cresselia was pegged to be the Lugia. Oh, again, super. So yeah, Cresselia was supposed to be the Lugia of the overused tier, and even though it's been a complete flop so far, its defensive stats cannot suck that much that it would be a good wall in underuse and not anything more. And as for Porygon Z, well, it hits so freaking hard! Damn! I almost can't believe that it's not overused anymore. So if Heracross ever falls down, well, I guess we had a little preview of what would happen there. I don't think Heracross would be an underused very long either. And a Marill in the desert. Whoa, I can't imagine it being as annoying as those Sandshrews and Trapinches. So there we go. It was as easy as that. And yep, I came up short. Well, that's appropriate. And we're coming up short on time too. So in the next video, it's going to be part 2 of this desert journey.